Okay, so now let's read The Polar Bear in Sydney Harbour. One Saturday afternoon, a ferry cut its way across Sydney Harbour with a girl named Hannah on board. She was on her way home from the zoo. As she looked across the shimmering water, Hannah saw something that would change everything. A polar bear in Sydney Harbour. Now, Sydney Harbour is home to many amazing things, but polar bears are not one of them. Sydney is down under, and polar bears are from, well, up over. He must be quite the adventurer, Hannah thought. Hannah ferry docked, and so did the polar bear's iceberg. Running over as fast as she could, she wasn't prepared for quite how enormous polar bears are. "What's your name?" Hannah asked, but the polar bear just gazed at her. "Well, if it's up to me, I think I'll call you Rodney." Hannah and Rodney were an unlikely pair, but she always wanted a pet. After his long journey, Rodney's tummy was rumbling. Hannah knew just the thing, and when a seagull ate one of Rodney's chips, Rodney ate the seagull. Hannah was worried her parents wouldn't let her take Rodney home, but oddly, they didn't seem to notice him at all. At home, Hannah could see that Rodney was feeling hot. His coat was far too heavy for a Sydney summer, so she grabbed her dad's beard trimmer and gave Rodney a haircut, which took a couple of goes to get right. Hannah looked closely at Rodney's hair. She was amazed by how shiny and reflective it was. Rodney was still too hot, so Hannah took him down the road for a cold drink. And that's when it struck her. Rodney hadn't come to Sydney for an adventure. He'd come by accident. As much as she wanted to keep him, Hannah knew she needed to put things right. For a job this big, Hannah knew she'll need some help. But if her own parents hadn't noticed Rodney, how would she get anyone else's attention? Hannah decided to take Rodney down to bustling Bondi Beach. Someone was bound to spot him there. But down on the sand, everyone was too busy relaxing to notice the girl with the polar bear. Next, they caught a train into town. But in the crowded carriage, not a single person glanced at Rodney. They didn't even look up from their phones. Hannah was sure Rodney would get the attention of Sydney's Christmas shoppers, but the crowds were too enthralled by the festive scene in the shop window to see the real-life polar bear beside them. As the sun set on the day, Hannah and Rodney returned home feeling defeated. It was there with the glow of the lighthouse shining through the window that Hannah had an idea. She told Rodney her plan, and later that night he ventured out to put her plan into action. When Rodney arrived at the lighthouse, he followed Hannah's instructions and climbed all the way to the very top. As the revolving light turned toward him, it lit up Rodney's unique reflective fur. And suddenly Rodney beamed more brightly than anything you have ever seen. The brightness of Rodney's coat woke up Sydney Sider far and wide, and no one could ignore him a second longer. The next day, Hannah and Rodney were back at the harbour. Thanks to the one girl's bright idea, the city had arranged a ferry to take Rodney home. It was time for the friends to say their farewell. They hugged and Hannah gave Rodney a goodbye gift. He seemed to like it very much. That is the end.